Got it. My meeting's being live streamed.
Whew. All right. Here we go. Guys, welcome. It is Sunday, November 20th, 2022. Welcome to the Zodiac Chatline. I am your host today. And as always, the lovely Cassie is with me.
Hello.
Girl,
a lot has happened since last we spake.
Listen, so what I will say, I just want to say before we get started that I do want to touch this in a moment. One, happy Trans Visibility Day. And so, or Trans Awareness Day. Trans Visibility Week, in honor of all of our trans brothers and sisters who have not made it, but in honor of all the ones that are there and standing in their authentic truth. We salute you here at the Zodiac Chatline and we celebrate you. We also here want to send our condolences to Shanquelo Robinson's family. And most of you know she suffered a very tragic death in Mexico about a couple weeks ago or something. Her parents deserve justice, and I believe the FBI is investigating. So continued condolences for your family. And also to those people that were affected last night in Colorado Springs at Club Q, there was an armed gunman that did go in there, and he did unalive 5 people and injured quite a few people. So again, our hearts go out to everybody that had to experience that. Moving on from that, we want to talk about the end of eclipse season. And as everybody who has not breathed in the past 6 months knows, that this has been quite a fucking ride. From May until the full moon eclipse in the middle of November, which was on here in the US, Election Day. Cassie, tell us about all of the things with the election here in the US.
You know, I'm gonna start with the hopeful stuff, because I think, and we talked about this on our last show. Our last show was 2 weeks ago, which was 2 days before the election. And us and all the other astrology peeps on the internet were like, this is going to be fucked. The election is going to be fucked, because we had the full moon eclipse. We had Mars retrograde in Gemini. We have Saturn in Aquarius. We've got the United States going through its Pluto return in Capricorn. This is all to say is a lot of things adding up to it could have been a very dramatically messy event. And I was so happy that there was no coordinated domestic terrorism, because I truly thought that was going to happen. Like, I really was worried about it. The thing that made me optimistic was knowing that the domestic terrorist types we have in this country are lazy and stupid, most of them. So I didn't really know if they could get their shit together, and they didn't. And so that's great. And not only that, but the whole notion of being a fascist, anti-democratic election denier was shot down widely across the United States. Here in my home state and my present state of residence, Michigan, we flipped our entire legislature blue for the first time in 40 years. Big Gretch is going to stay for the next 4 years and fix the damn roads or whatever the shit she says. And like, we codified reproductive rights, and all the states that reproductive rights was on the ballot, even the really conservative ones, sided in favor of more reproductive rights, not less. And so I think it's hopeful. And I think, you know, something I have thought for several years now is that this effort on the part of the extreme right to just wrestle away freedoms from gay, trans, female, all kinds of categories of people is like basically their last gasp for air, because those people are becoming the minority. They are the minority. The global majority are people of color. White people are not a global majority, haven't ever been. We're definitely not going to be the majority here in the United States much longer, if we even technically are anymore. And That's great. That's good news for everybody, to be honest.
Because we all live here. We all need to experience, you know, and I think the major thing for a lot of people to understand is that, like, giving somebody rights is not taking away from your rights. Maybe it's taking away from your privilege, and that's the part that's really hurting your feelings, but it's not, you're not losing any rights to give somebody else any right. No man is losing rights about his testicles to give a woman the right to choose. There is nothing about that. And never in the history of historydom have we ever controlled a man's right to do anything with his body, ever. Boop. Ever. Boop. So what is the difference? Because a woman is capable of doing things that a man could never dream or experience or even withstand. There is not a man on this planet that could withstand going through 9 months of pregnancy, morning sickness, periods for 35 years every single month. Like, give me a fucking break. But anyway, I digress. Y'all see, we feel strongly about our women's rights here.
Yeah.
Unlike Cassie, I live in the South. And, you know, I live in a very blue city. I live in an extremely red state. And, you know, the incumbent governor still won. We did have Stacey Abrams, girl, I love you. We love you. We stand for you always and forever, girl. Because you made a really good effort, but the outsider rural counties were very much voting red. We do have a Senate runoff. Goddess willing, everybody realizes that we should just go ahead and vote our incumbent, Raphael Warnock, back in, because the other candidate, we ain't even gonna say his name, can't even complete a full sentence, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But as Cassie said, all of these eclipses, the House is now Republican. The Senate has remained Democratic, but we've watched Nancy Pelosi step down from her long-running seat as Senate Majority Leader, correct? Or House Majority Leader?
The Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House. And Cass and I talked about this earlier. I do believe that, you know, everybody knows what happened with her husband a couple weeks ago, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with her reevaluating how much she was going to be involved in government. And that's just sad and continuously detrimental to our democracy, that we feel like we can go and attack these people, like physically attack somebody's spouse who he didn't run, she ran. And it's just like super wild. And I go back to saying, as all those domestic terrorists that did everything that they did on January 6th, they were able to get through and accomplish a lot more than any other person, any other group would have had they done the same type of attack. And so for them to be allowed to and let it be okay, it just, I think a lot of us were astounded as like, is this the country we live in today? Is this where we are? And I think that having the US's Pluto return in Capricorn is really looking at authority, really looking at structure. Saturn in Aquarius is looking at structure. And everybody is like, okay, this is not working for us. And like Cassie said, thank God she lives in a state that everybody got some sense, because they turned the whole state blue and codifying all these rights for women. Like, you mean to tell me if you ask people, it makes sense, but we let 9 people who don't really have any skin in the game make a rule? Like,
the Supreme Court is worried about an unplanned pregnancy. Tell me that. Which one of them is worried about that?
You know, like, Clarence Thomas, Jenny worried about it. I'm sure her eggs is dust anyway. But anyway.
You know what's interesting too, when you brought up Nancy Pelosi, not only did she retire from House Democratic leadership, her second and third in command did also. So and they were all octogenarians, all in their 80s, and recognized that the time for new leadership is now, right? Hello. Like, we need to build a bench of leaders who are going to continue to fight for our rights. And frankly, and you and I have talked about this, and we probably talked about it on the show too, we need to broaden our whole notion of what we're doing with politics in this country, right? We can't just have 2 parties. It's crazy. We need third parties. We need ranked choice voting. We need more democratic process. But for now, we've got what we've got. We have to participate in the ways that we can. And so it's good that we've got younger people. We've elected our first Gen Z person to national office this election in Florida, of all places, like, managed to do that. So, like, there's hope. There's reason to be hopeful all across the country. Definitely. And The Gen Zers, again, goddess bless
Oh
them.
yeah.
I love them. They're great. They're doing great things.
And then the next wave, by the time the presidential election comes in, there's going to be another wave of younger voters who don't agree with their grandparents at this point, because I think that's the generation. They don't agree with their grandparents, and they see that their rights are being trampled on, and they're just starting to live. They're just starting to be adults, and they're like, hold up, you've been telling us what to do this whole time. Like, bring it back. And thank goddess for their ability to look at the we and look at the universal like community as rather than a very selfish like, what is in this for me? And I think that that's where a lot of the older generations are very much like, well, I worked really hard for this and this belongs to me. And the other younger generation is like, well, you know, if I'm suffering, everybody else is suffering. It doesn't even matter if I don't have it. And them recognizing, I think a lot of that generation starting to recognize their privilege and using it for good, and knowing that they need to stand up and defend their friends of color or their trans friends or their queer friends, because people will continue to attack them just because they don't understand.
Yeah, that's super real.
And then the last crazy thing that's been happening is tech layoffs, major tech layoffs. I have experienced that within just the company that I work for. I personally am still very grateful to have mine, but there are a lot of people that do not. And then Elon Musk and the whole Twitter fiasco, it's just like, we have such this advanced technology, but we are watching it kind of blow up in our face. And it's going back to grassroots and very much like, you know, I think agriculture is going to be really important coming up, and just different, less tech focused things, and more like, how are we going to survive? You know, we all know about climate change. I don't know if you've seen Buffalo, New York lately, but they're buried under lots of snow.
Yeah, it's like none of this works if nature decides it doesn't, right? Like we're living on borrowed time here in this society, because
seriously borrowed time at this point.
Yeah, like I was thinking about this today. Like my son was asking to watch, you know, a video on my phone or something like that, and I was just thinking about the level of convenience that we have now versus the level of convenience we had when I was growing up. And then I was just thinking about how my upbringing was incredibly convenient. And so we have had now hundreds of years, like maybe 200 years since romanticism, since the industrialization of like the world. And we've built something incredible in some ways, which is like, it's crazy awesome that we can do this, that we can be live on, you know, TV, whatever, YouTube, to other people in the country, in the world, whatever, like that, you know, you can pull up any article you want on in any publication on your phone. Like, it's crazy, but it comes at these enormous environmental costs, and nothing quick is free, nothing, you know what I mean? Like, and so we've been playing this game against Mother Nature where we're borrowing from the future to pay for today. And like, she's going to come collecting, and it's going to be ugly, and
ain't nothing we can do about it, but just concede.
But, and try and save seeds at our own home and grow stuff in our garden and in our greenhouses. And
don't tell everybody the secrets, but yes, what she said.
You all are invited to the secrets, but like, seriously.
Girl, keep that stuff real. No, I'm just kidding. So with that, we are going to transition from Scorpio season to Sagittarius season. And the sun is still in Scorpio today, but only for a couple more days, because it will finally move into fiery ass Sagittarius, where it will join Mercury and Venus. And then the new moon will follow it on Wednesday on the 23rd, with a special happening on the 23rd of Jupiter going direct in Pisces. And Jupiter is the natural ruler of Sagittarius, and it's exalted in Pisces. And so I think that that is an amazing day to wish beyond your wildest dreams. Because
absolutely,
the dreamy and like the dreaminess and soulfulness of Pisces mixed with the expansion, the exploration, the fiery, passionate energy of Sagittarius can bring some amazing dreams to life. And I definitely think that for your new moon intentions, get spicy with it. Get
And
spicy
think
with it.
big. Think
Yeah.
big. Like as dream
Big
as big
picture.
as you can. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you're not thinking, you don't think you're dreaming big enough, dream bigger.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
dream beyond what you think you can imagine, because that is the beauty of that energy with Sagittarius, the new moon in Sagittarius and Jupiter going direct in Pisces on that day. And then we still have Mars retrograde in Gemini through next year. So still a lot of action oriented items are going to be a little bit slower. And communication definitely needs to be particular, especially since that's going to be opposing the Sun, Mercury, Venus, all of that in Sagittarius. Mars will be opposing that. Mars in Gemini, Mars in retrograde in Gemini will be opposing all that energy. So again, careful with communication and how you're taking action, and really, really think before you act, and then think some more.
Yeah. And I would say don't be surprised if your big dreams, that Sagittarius energy that you come up with, don't be surprised if you experience some resistance to it from the outside world and from other forces. But that doesn't mean that you're on the wrong path. That just means there are obstacles on every path, and you're going to think carefully and act carefully, and you'll surmount them. You'll get around those obstacles.
It's making sure that you want that dream. You know,
Yes.
it's asking you to really think about, is this dream something you're going to continue through past these obstacles?
Absolutely.
So we are excited about all of that energy. And today we are going to talk about exploration. We found that was the topic that best described Sagittarius energy. And, you know, I'm going to bring on our guest and then we'll start to talk about it. So we have an amazing guest. I'm so excited we got her. I don't think y'all know. She is, just for the congregation, a Aries sun, Pisces moon, and a Leo rising. She's also a wonderful actress. You have seen her in some things, but we'll have her tell you about that
booked
later.
And busy. She stays booked and busy.
Welcome Brittany Staten to the show, everybody. Brittany, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining us on a Sunday night.
How are you?
Yeah.
Okay, we with you, girl. you are in a safe space.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I'm good. Overall, I'm good. It's like, it's almost the end of this year. This year has been like a roller coaster, an absolute roller coaster. And I'm both shocked at how fast it went, but also like, there was so much that happened. I'm kind of ready for it to be over.
Yeah, it is. Not every year is like that, but this is one of those where like, this could have been 10 years or 2 months, and I would have believed you either way, whatever you said. Like, okay, sure.
I think this was like the full year we were all trying to get used to life after COVID, like back to some form of normalcy, whatever that means. We obviously know we're on the new timeline. There is no normal. We are not going back to that ever again, but some form of normalcy. So Brittany, we're going to talk about exploration, and the definition that we found was the action of or traveling in or through an unfamiliar area in order to learn about it. So I know that's a broad perspective, but the first question I'm going to ask you, because we're going to dive right in, we don't like waste time here, is what doors has exploration opened for you?
You know, when you just said that definition, it just sparked something in me. And I think it's interesting that you brought me on for this one because I don't know if y'all said, but I'm an Aries. And so, you know, we're like the leader of the pack, and we're always the one to like go for it, the trailblazers in a sense. And so yeah, it's you said in what ways has it opened doors? I want to say that like exploration has opened like the doors of my mind, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And so I was kind of thinking about exploration earlier today, and I was like, for me, it always felt whatever it is, always felt bigger than me and where I was. So growing up, I always lived in small towns. I was never grew up in a big city. So I've lived in Georgia and Indiana and back to Georgia again. And it was just always something that I felt like there was more. And especially like when it came to travel, my family really instilled in me travel at an early age. Even in like elementary school, we would go to like Disney World during the summer, or, you know, we go visit family or take a road trip or something like that. And then when I was in middle school, I was in like a gifted program or whatever, and they would have us travel each year. So in sixth grade, we got to go to like Jekyll Island, and in seventh grade, we got to go to DC. In eighth grade, I got to go to New York City. And for a young girl from a small town in Georgia, like New York City was like, oh my God, like this is so eye-opening. And that's what sparked my love for acting and inspired me to be an actor today. And then just from then on, like in high school, I always wanted to, I just became infatuated with France and Paris, as a lot of young girls do, and I took French. And I just recently came back from my Paris trip. So it's like a full circle moment, that evolution. And I don't know, it just felt like, to kind of go opposite of that, like not to bring the mood down, but I just learned that a couple of my cousins have passed away and they were under 25, you know, and it just felt like they were a product of their environment, you know, and I never wanted to just be this, whatever was just put in front of me. So to me, exploration was like, what is out there? What is more than this? What is more than the small towns and the everyday and the routine? And I get bored easily. I want to see what's up, what's going on, you know? And so I'm so grateful and so thankful that my mind has been open to know that wherever I am, whatever state of mind that I'm in, it's more than just this. It's more than just this moment. It's more than where I am right now. That's
Girl, okay, starting off
Right.
testifying.
And we are done.
Right. That's it. Thank you so much, guys. This was great. Brittany just took over for our show. We're gonna add a third co-host. Yes. That was actually, I love that for you. Cassie, what about you?
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, I agree. I think I remember one moment really distinctly for me in traveling, that was just so just mind-blowing. I was, you know, I took a backpackers tour to Central America. I booked this thing, like, you know, signed up to be part of a group, and I knew no one else, right? But I knew there were going to be 20 of us, and we were going to get led through like 5 countries. And I was on that trip, and prior to coming to that, and through much of my 20s, I really struggled with like, why couldn't I find the right partner? Like, I was irritated with, like, you know, see, not like irritate, but like, you know, I was just like, I didn't fall in love, you know, and I was just like, I want to be in love. Like, I want a partner, and I couldn't find one. And I was on this trip, and I was just like, there are so many fucking people in this world that I've never met. Like, of course I haven't found the right person yet. Like, I have hardly been anywhere, you know, and there's 7, now 8 billion people on this planet. Like, of course there's so much more to discover. Like, why am I stressing myself about this small group of people in Atlanta, Georgia, or, you know, Detroit, Michigan, or wherever I was at this time? Like, I need to go meet more people, you know. I'm just limiting myself, and just realizing that, like, yeah, all of these people out there are all living their life, you know. They're all these tiny individual worlds, and there's so much to learn from other people that that really hit me then. I was like, wow, yeah, I'm so small. And like, it's a very freeing feeling. You're like, nothing I do matters. It's great. I'll do whatever I want, you know? What about you, Tennah?
I feel like I'm not necessarily like Brittany where I'm bored, but I always want to like figure shit out. Like, I always want to find some, I want to explore. I like exploring people. I like getting to know people, but I also like you know, you and I kind of grew up in a city. But even growing up in the city, I was still kind of raised in a sheltered type of situation. And I appreciated being able to, my grandmother taught me a lot about exploration when it comes to food and trying different foods. So I was very like, my eyes for like, and everybody that knows me knows I'm always looking for my next meal. I love food. Like I will, exploring about food, but I also had a lot of different life experiences where I was able to travel like to DC. I went to a school where we went help some monks build a monastery. I got to travel to Quebec and Montreal as a child. And recently I just came back from the Dominican Republic, and that was the first time ever I'd ever traveled out of the country. And so that for me, I know, right? But girl, it's okay. Got the
Wait, I love how you're counting Canada as the country though, because you did
I don't consider that traveling.
I know, because we grew up in Michigan.
And like for other people, that might be another country, but if you're from Michigan, you know that Windsor is 45 minutes under a tunnel, so it don't really count. And Brittany's from Indiana, so again, it's still the Midwest. It's all the same. Canada is up the street, But going to the Dominican Republic, the most beautiful experience I've had, the most amazing, beautiful people there. What I totally appreciated, they thought I was family. I was going to pretend to be family. And it worked, but just to see like another culture, and I've always yearned to see other cultures and explore and experience other things, because like both of you said, there's so much more than us. Like, where we come from, Brittany's talking about a small town. You and I both came from, Detroit-ish area. And like that in itself is like this, if you think about like we're a speck of dust on this huge broad land, but to be able to explore and expand. And I have a lot of friends, and that's one of the reasons why I did bring Brittany on here. Brittany has traveled extensively and done it she's like, oh, I want to go here. Oh, I want to go here. Oh, I want to go here. And like, inspiring. So with that, what has been the scariest experience through exploration?
I don't think that I have any scary experiences when it comes to like exploring the world. I think when you sort of broaden the term of explorations, like exploring the depths of your mind, like as growth, and that exploration, that gets scary. Getting older is an exploration. And that gets scary because you know yourself, but you don't know this you. So I don't know if you ever really truly know yourself, because you're always someone new. You're always growing and learning. And I think the one exploration that does scare me, I would say, is like exploring your potential and the life that you want and the life you can see for yourself, but getting from where you are to where you want to be is a dark space that you can't see ahead. You literally take it one step at a time, and you don't know what it's like, what's going on, who's going to be there. And that's the scary part for me as far as exploration. And I think that's kind of been the space that I've been in, in these past 2 years with the pandemic and, living alone. I've spent a lot of time with myself these past couple of years. And the exploration of when it's time to move on, that's scary, because you're like, oh man. I got to leave this behind. I got to leave this person behind. I have to leave this mindset behind. I have to leave what I've known. And I always love adventure and new things, but sometimes when it's time to really elevate, that's the scariest part, because you want it and you're like, I want this new life and I want this new lifestyle, but you always have to go through a transformation. And I think that is like the scariest part and the hardest part too. And it's
like that
you go through it and then it's done. It's constant. Yeah.
I was gonna say, it's like that saying, I don't know if it's actually like attributed to anyone or if it's just one of those things that's gotten repeated over time, and it's like your new life will cost your old one. And yeah, you're like that there is something lost even when you gain something you want, and that's the comfort and stability of the thing you had before, right? Like, and that's more terrifying than walking around a new city and being afraid you're going to get away from your hotel.
Yeah. Truly, like I'll just go Like I'm not afraid to move. I moved down here. Like I went to school in Indiana and then moved down here on a bus and was like, all right, well, let's figure it out. Like I have a plane ticket. I took the mega bus down to
Now, you know, she a G, y'all. She took
That's
the mega
hardcore.
bus.
like I gotta get out of here. I gotta go. So that type of like, let's just go, let's figure it out. That's chill to me. But like, you know, the emotional stuff. And then sometimes I feel like, you know, I move faster than I can process. And that thing
An
maybe
Aries?
I know, right? Really?
yeah.
Not the first fire sign.
So when you go back and like when you do explore, when you move so quickly and when you try, sometimes it's like, oh, I did all that. I didn't even realize. I didn't know I was doing all that. Wait, slow it down. Hold on. I didn't register that yet. So yeah, sometimes that retrospect is a little as well.
I think the scariest exploration for me, I think over my lifetime has been just exploring my sexuality, my gender, and just all of that, just in a world that tells you one thing. And especially being a woman of color, being queer, and being more masculine presented than not, just the experience of learning how to explore that, balance out my masculine and feminine energies internally and externally. I mean, most people, all of my friends that know me are like, Tennah is definitely a girl. But you also, you know, you also appreciate and understand whatever masculine qualities I have. But the exploration of my sexuality, which started very young, I mean, I was 19 when I came out. And I am more than twice that. So it was
Nobody do quick math.
it was the scariest experience because of having to involve other people, like my family, once I explored it, and even trying to deal with it within myself was very scary because it was just like Brittany said, my old life had to go and I had to let go of anything I thought what I was and just expand and grow into the person that I know that I have to be for me. And so that would probably be for me, the most scariest one is just exploring my sexuality and just now being absolutely comfortable in this skin because it's beautiful, melanated, and so special. So
I love it.
you know.
I have to say I embarked earlier this year on an ancestral exploration, and that is scary too. And my family has been in the United States a long time, and there's a lot of bad apples on that tree, you know, and we have records. My brother's done like meticulous record keeping, and I can Google some of these bad people, and then it's like, I have kids. So I'm like, okay, I'm plumbing the depths of my own lineage. And how can I acknowledge and like lay to rest these old patterns and call something better and bring forth something better into the future? And I'm with you, Brittany, that you know, today in a certain respect, you said the same thing, but it's the exploration of your own self, I think, is the scariest thing. And I don't know if it's a cardinal sign thing, but I also grew up always knowing I wanted to do more. I was like, I am not going to be in Michigan forever. I am not meant for this. I am meant to go places and do stuff. And I did. And that was great. But like sitting with yourself and being like, all right, let me explore all these avenues. Let's go down the past trauma avenue. Let's go down what were your great grandparents and their great grandparents up to avenue. And it's like, there is some alarming stuff down those paths, but you can't fix or help or elevate or like change anything that you don't explore. That's what I think was so interesting when you read that definition on our production call. And then today for exploration is the intention of going into something to learn about it. There's that intention of you're going to learn about it, not just passively exist in it or meander through without absorbing anything. It's like, no, I'm going and I'm going to learn something. Like that is, it's, yeah, you don't know what you're going to get when you set out start exploring some of this stuff.
I mean, and that was kind of like, it seems like we delved into, I was going to kind of bring this around, but we did kind of already touch on that, just exploration of self and like where that's brought you in your journey. And so if you kind of want to continue to expand on that, Brittany, because that's kind of, honestly, I like that's where we kind of went, because exploration can mean so many things. We can talk about travel and this, but I think that we all understood like the most important exploration is just of yourself. And Sagittarius is dual ruled a higher mind and a higher philosophy, and like seeking more, as you said before, Cassie, knowledge and learning. So how has that self-exploration brought you through your life's journey, Brittany?
Phew, where do I begin? So I've always been, pretty independent, Aries, obviously, but like I said, just being through like this pandemic really brought a lot of loneliness. And it was just a surrounding of just like morbidity, everyone was like dying, people were sick, like family members are getting sick, like it was just a lot going on. And so just having to, sit with myself, I learned about several things. One, working. I feel like I was a good worker and a hard worker, but I just feel like I was just doing too much here, there, everywhere, and I was giving more than I was getting, and I wasn't doing the work for myself to get me the results that I wanted. And I feel like that's a thing that especially we as women do a lot of times. Like we work and we work really hard and we go above and beyond, and then we just like never get the recognition or the pay or the things that we deserve, and then we become like upset about it. Because I'm like, why is my life not where it's supposed to be? Because I didn't prioritize like working for myself and working towards these goals in a way that would help me get to where I wanted to be. I was working for everyone else and doing all these things and allowing myself to get distracted, and I had to like bring it back to me. And then in like an emotional sense, I was realizing that like every setback is not a tragedy, so that was like a big one for me, because I feel like I used to, and sometimes I still struggle with like just take things so personally, or be so upset or so hard on myself, things didn't turn out right, or be so embarrassed if I made a mistake or did something wrong, and it's just like, that's more of just learning and growing and realizing like I have permission to be human. I have permission to not do 150% every day. I can just do 100. I can do 75, because a lot of y'all is doing 32. So
tell them now.
Some of y'all's not even clocking in. So
nope. Tell the truth now.
Okay. Listen, if we can have some of these presidents we've had.
Hello.
Okay.
That bit.
Yeah, and it's just, I can let go. I can make mistakes. I think that's a big thing this past year, is that like I become a full-time creative. I quit my job last year. I quit my day job and just decided to pursue being a creative full-time. And at times it felt great, and at times it felt like a very, very bad decision. And sometimes I'm still like, this feels like a very, very bad decision, especially in a world that's like so focused on money and capitalism and bills. It's a lot. And I'm like, oh, maybe this was a mistake. Maybe this was a bad mistake. Maybe I should go back. And I just was questioning myself, but things started to work out. And I think like that was kind of a light bulb moment. It's like, okay, I can take the chance. I can do something that's not conventional. I can do something so I can make a mistake. I can learn from this. I can keep going. It may not even be a mistake. It's just something that is completely different than what I've done. I kind of went off the rails a little bit, it seemed like, but I'm allowing myself to make those mistakes. I'm allowing myself to think outside the box. I'm allowing myself to do something that may be deemed foolish, that I may even think is foolish. But coming from a person that is like, has to think of everything and has all the answers and all of that, that was really like a big moment to where I didn't have the answers. And that's a big thing. It's like, I don't have to have the answer to everything. I can just say, I don't know. I can figure it out day to day because everybody is out here freestyling. Nobody's doing it's freestyling. And so I think that's the biggest exploration, is that like, I used to think everybody knew what they was doing. Everybody had it together. I need to do it. I need to have it together. Nobody knows what they are doing.
No,
Not a one.
Sometimes I think kids know before we do.
Okay, we all just figured it out, you know.
That is such an important revelation. Good for you.
So before we kind of switch gears, we want to know, Brittany, leave us with your philosophy.
Just a general philosophy?
I mean,
you know,
on life,
on whatever,
exploration, on yourself, whatever. Sagittarius is the sign of the philosopher. They're associated with also exploring religions, like in an, you know, intellectual and philosophical way. So
I will say, kind of just from all of that I've said before and talking with friends this past week, you deserve. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to live a good life. You deserve to have a livable wage. You deserve to be with a partner that respects you and loves you. You deserve to have a job that won't walk over you. You deserve to be able to explore the world. You deserve to be treated fairly. You deserve to be able to love who you love. You deserve.
We can't even say, I didn't want to say nothing. Like, go ahead. Brittany that came through and took over.
And live the life you deserve.
yes,
That's it. That's the word for the week, y'all. That's the philosophy for the week. You deserve. So remember that.
Amazing.
All of that. So sorry guys. We are going to play a fun game, and Brittany's going to stay on for this game because we actually think she'll probably do better than both of us.
We need help.
In honor of our transition from Scorpio to Sagittarius season, we are present to you, who is the messiest celeb edition? Is it a Sag or is it a Scorpio? Cassie and I are going to give each other clues, and we will guess along with Brittany who and what sign did this messy behavior. So I will start.
Oh, I can't wait. All right, Brittany. I believe in us.
Okay. This actor turned musician most recently was called out for creepily taking a photo of a woman without her knowledge and posting it on social media.
Ew. Actor turned musician creepily taking a picture. Okay, so that feels okay. So I was going to say that feels like a Scorpio thing because it's very Scorpio to be creepy and spy on a person, but it's also very impulsive to post that on the internet. So that makes me feel like it's a Sag. Brittany, do you have thoughts? Or have you heard of this story?
I don't know the story, but when you say actor turned musician, I'm thinking a guy because you said actor.
Yeah.
I think the most popular actor turned musician is Drake, and he's a Scorpio.
Oh, yeah, true.
You got it, Brittany.
Yes.
So I guess a couple weeks ago, it was either on his IG Live, but he was somewhere and he saw a woman and took a picture of her without her knowledge, and then he posted it on social media, and everybody was like, dude, that's weird. And we all know Drake's been messy anyway, in addition to that. But I found that to be exceptionally messy and creepy.
That is gross. I love so many, I'm not gonna lie, I love so many Drake songs, and I have like 5 on this playlist that I listen to often. I'm like, I don't want to give you my money. Like, I don't want to give you money for this stream. You're coming out here being mad creepy. Weird, gross. Okay. Thank you, Brittany.
See, I
You
told you
win.
she would do better.
All right. So,
All right.
this Republican gubernatorial candidate who was up for re-election in their state ran an ad targeting trans high school athletes after a state senator of the same party in her state previously introduced legislation that would have forced its athletes to undergo genital inspections to play. It's sad because there are so many options for you to choose from of creepy Republicans who ran for governor this year.
You know, my guess is going to be it's a Sag, and my guess is Arizona's Carrie Lake.
Oh, yes, it is a Sag.
Okay.
No, not Carrie Lake. That would be South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, aka Krusty Noem. That's what all my in-laws
you would know
who
South
work
Dakota.
live in South Dakota. She is a terrible, terrible person, and highly likely to be the first female Republican president someday. So keep an eye out for her. She's gross.
And she's a Sag?
She's a Sag. November 30th.
I thought Sagittarius too when you said it.
Really?
Like some
Just
outlandish.
some outlandish. That's a good word. Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to pick this one. And I'm going to read what I wrote so that you guys will. I have a feeling Brittany is going to guess this one immediately.
Oh, boy.
Okay. This R. Kelly wannabe has been accused of sexually and physically assaulting multiple women. And do you want me to tell you the songs that they sing?
No.
Okay. But yeah, he has been accused multiple times of sexual assault and physical assault. Most recently, he was actually just accused of physical assault. And yeah.
I'm going to go Trey Songz Scorpio.
Trey Songz Sag, but good on the Trey Songz.
But I've been hearing things about him and I was like,
I think Keke Palmer said something about him.
He was a creep too. Yeah, he's a Sag. Oh, yuck.
And he's got multiple accusations against him. I mean, he settled a civil suit, and then most recently was accused of assaulting a woman in New York, physically assaulting. And I'm just like, the fact that you keep getting accused, sir.
Right.
But you know, he does have songs like Mr. Steal Your Girl and Bottoms Up, so I'm not sure that we're surprised.
Right. Yuck. Thank you again, Brittany. Once again, you win the game.
no pop culture.
All right. Okay. This Republican gubernatorial candidate was too scared to campaign with the Republican Senate candidate from his state because that candidate was flagrantly unqualified. But now that he's been comfortably reelected and the Senate election has gone to a runoff, he has been out and about with that messy dude.
Brian Kemp, Scorpio.
Yes, and yes. And you know, that was a Scorpio Sag matchup. Our queen, Stacey Abrams, is a Sag. And Brian Kemp is a Scorpio. And I went and looked at all of his ads, and they're all so petty. It's like, I went to YouTube and it's like, Georgia's doing great because we didn't do what Stacey Abrams was going to do. And I was like, man, you are so petty. But
when they put their qualifications side by side, it was like,
he's got two things on the list. You got to scroll to another page to get through hers. Okay. But he's a Scorpio. She's a Sag. Do you have guesses for the Senate candidates, Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker?
Herschel Walker is a Pisces.
Yes, he is. Of course he is.
He's a messy as Pisces. And my guess for Warnock is a Virgo.
Close. He's a Leo.
Oh.
Right. Which, like, you know, orator, preacher, sense. That makes sense too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, who do I want to, like, the jobs I want a Scorpio, a Pisces man to have in my periphery, Senate or governor, any government office, not one. Bartender. That's a good job for a Pisces man in my periphery.
What? A music producer. Great job. We got
Love that.
Timbaland. We got plenty of Pisces music producers. Great,
Love that.
great. That's their lane.
Skip the Senate though.
He could probably continue to play football again for all I care.
Sure. Yeah. Go coach something. Herschel, get out of the Senate though. But interestingly, so I did, as you can see, I was doing a deep dive on the astrology for these people. Yes. And I was looking up Brian Kemp and Christy Nome's chart. Both of them have strongly aspected Taurus moons.
They think they're doing it for the right reasons. Like they're justifying the right reasons. Speaking of, I know this is way off topic because I was randomly like looking through as we were researching. Tucker Carlson is a Taurus. Exactly. I'm like, that makes all the sense in the world. Yeah. It's quite interesting to see who takes over, but Brian Kemp, Scorpio's like power, and
I was just thinking, I'm like, man, this dude must have been he's a Scorpio with a Taurus moon. Like that's a messy life to have lived. I bet he's got a list, 45 pages long of everyone who's ever wronged him.
Oh,
and like slowly but surely, he's just fucking crossing people off.
He is just making sure. That's why I think did Brad Russell, I don't even know if he got elected Secretary of State again, but like even Trump is probably still on his list of because Trump tried to diss him and he's still
I'm sure
it's been messy.
Trump's Gemini ass has forgotten his name already.
Brittany, you won everything because you're amazing. So before we get you out of here, we answer some questions and do some cards. Tell the people where, please, and do not be humble. Let these folks know where they can find you. Okay. Thank you.
If you want to follow me on social media, you can find me on Instagram at It's Brittany Live, ITSBRITTANYLIVE. I am an actor, so you can catch me on your TV. I am on Netflix, season 1, episode 7 of Raising Dion. I think it's 7.
I think it's 6 or 7, one of those, yeah.
And then I'm on the last season of Atlanta. You can catch me on Hulu. I am on episode 6, the one with Soulja Boy, Crank That Killer. So you can catch me on your whatever streaming service you'd like.
Yes.
CW app. I'm on Dynasty, season 5, episode 20.
What? Girl, I worked on Dynasty.
No way.
Not in season 5, but yes, I love it. I'll definitely go give you some streams. All that shit's on Netflix. Watch it. All my friends are going to get paid off that.
Period.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much, Brittany.
Thank you.
You have been an amazing guest. Remember, guys, the philosophy for the week is you deserve. You deserve, y'all. Brittany, we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Love her. She is fabulous.
That was a great conversation. I am so happy about that conversation. I think we really explored a lot more. I think, the questions really did take us further, and I really appreciate that. So again, thank you, Brittany, guys. Go check her out. So let's hit a question.
Yeah. Speaking of thank yous, thanks to everybody who's here with us tonight. And if you've got any questions, pop them in the chat. We've got a couple from email to talk about.
All the people. I think your doppelganger's in the chat. I didn't even know that.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah. Same name.
Yes. I'm not going to say it because I don't want us, not telling on us, even though there's a lot of us out there, but that's fine. All right. So first question from email. Would two people with the same Venus placement be more or less compatible? My partner and I are Virgo sun, Pisces moon, Libra rising, and Leo sun, Sag moon, Sag rising, both with Venus in Libra.
Okay, the funny thing is that I'm going to say this. I'm not the biggest fan of a Virgo-Leo combination, especially when it's a Virgo male and a Leo female. I think that their signs being side by side makes it very difficult for them to really communicate and understand each other. I think having the same Venus sign is nice when it's even, but it is messy when it is too much of both. It's nice that they both have a Libra Venus because that's a natural placement. So, you know, I'm sure both of them are very interested in partnership and being agreeable and cooperative. But it might be to the detriment of them both where they may not set really good boundaries with each other's. With
See
each
that.
other. Sorry. What about you?
So I'm gonna take the flip side. My pro for a Virgo Leo match is that if the Virgo partner is in fact willing to not be in the spotlight, like they are comfortable with that role, then that can be a good pairing because they're like the manager of the details of the Virgos, or the Leo spotlight life, you know, like Leo's not necessarily a detail oriented sign. They're out here making big, splashy, sunshiny moves and not worried about cleaning up the little bits, right? But if they have a partner that their game for that role, that could work really well. That said, I agree with you that I think fundamentally those signs don't, just like anytime you date someone whose sign is right before or right after you, you don't share anything in common. You're not going to be the same, you know, masculine or feminine duality. You're not the same, element or the same, triplicity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, it's hard to overcome. And, but I will say, I think that it's probably there aren't too many cases where having the same Venus sign as your partner would be a bad thing. Right. If you were like both
Venus Scorpio.
Yeah. Like there are some where it's like, you know, Venus Scorpio is a good example because you have a kind of suspicious, jealous nature. And if the person you're with has that, then you start to see what isn't there and you're both doing that, right? Yeah. And like Tennah alluded to, Venus in Libra is favorable because that's naturally placed. It's happy there. Both of those people are probably strongly oriented toward being in a partnership. Mm-hmm. So having that fundamental similarity is helpful. But also, as you alluded to, Tennah, too much of the same can be a problematic thing. In the case of these two, so it was a Leo Sag, and then a Virgo Pisces. What was the rising?
Well, I will say before you say that, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are the Virgo Leo combination. Masculine.
She's the Leo, yeah.
Duh.
Right. So Virgo, Pisces, Libra, Leo, Sag. So they've got like a lot of different energy kind of happening there. You know, that could work. It really depends on the individuals. And I don't like to say any couple can't work based on their astrology. It very much depends on the people, the time in their lives, and all of that.
I think the Virgo having an opposite Pisces moon tends to learn, they probably have to manage their emotions a lot better. I think that's a really spicy Leo with all that fire energy. Mm-hmm. And I would tend to believe that the Virgos, hopefully their feelings don't get hurt too easily.
I was about to say that same thing. Yeah, that Leo Sag could really trample on. And another thing is, I think fire sign people don't tolerate indecision very well, regardless, any of them, right? Yeah. Aries, Leo, Sag. They want decisions made, action taken. Virgo, Pisces, Libra, good luck. Because that person is making a list of pros and cons. It's going to be even when it's done. And they're going to have to agonize over that decision for 45 minutes. And it's just which pizza place to call. So just be mindful of that.
So yeah, that's answering your question. So thank you everyone that has joined us. I see y'all in the chat all the way lit. We have Cassandra Williams says, never dim your light, make them wear shades. Yes, girl, all say every day. Red Jones says, and that's on Mary and all her little lambs. Yes, it is. So we thank y'all for joining us. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and let all the people know. Come find us on TikTok, or Instagram sometimes, but mostly TikTok and here. We will be back in a couple weeks for our full moon in Gemini with a special guest. We're not going to tell you who it is yet, but we are thrilled. They are our #1 fan, and we are so excited to have them on the show. But we will see you guys in a couple of weeks. I believe the date will be December 6th, if I'm not mistaken, or is it the 4th?
I thought it was the 4th, but like I might be tripping.
I think you're probably right. It's the 4th, right?
I don't know. I don't have a calendar app on my
Either
iPad.
way, you'll know. We'll let
Sunday.
you guys know.
We're gonna let you know.
But before we get out of here, we're gonna pull a card for you. And I decided to pick this deck, the Soul's Journey lesson cards, because we talked about leaving Scorpio season and sorry guys, transforming, getting rid of anything that no longer served us and using that Sagittarius fire to burn that shit down. And so these are really good lesson cards that come with it. And so we're gonna see what the cards say. And anybody that has been here, every single time we pull a card, it is literally on point. So here we go.
I will be not even remotely surprised if the card says "you deserve."
Change, even better. All right. So it says, I understand that nothing can grow or evolve without movement.
Ooh.
Won't it be said? I'm going to learn how to work this camera one day, y'all. Boop. Okay, there we go. Right there.
That's
all
perfect.
Right. There is a certain comfort in the idea of living a life without surprises. The status quo has an appeal, but you will never learn or grow if your circumstances stay the same. Everybody wants life to be better, but that requires change. You have chosen to incarnate into this physical dimension called Earth because of the myriad of opportunities. If you don't take advantage of them, what was the point? Staying within your comfort zone is overrated. With change comes transformation, and with transformation comes evolution. Stop viewing change as good or bad because all change nourishes your soul. Don't equate it with a lack of control. Life happens as it's supposed to happen. You can direct how it plays out, and you always have the power to accept a change that redirects your path. I mean, every time. Every time it just be hitting, don't it?
Right. I like that too, because we're coming off of Scorpio season, a fixed sign season that is so not about the comfortable notion of change, right? Like that there's zero desire to change.
But change equals transformation, and it goes to evolution. And we look at Sagittariuses, which love to evolve. And it's like just the perfect transition from Scorpio to Sag season. So guys, you deserve change. You deserve change.
Yes.
Cassie girl, this was a great show. I love you so much. Everybody,
too,
once again, thank you so much for watching and supporting us.
We
Thank
love
you for all
you.
the likes, subscribes, and shares. We truly, truly appreciate it. Go follow us on all the lovely social medias. Brittany, thank you so much again. Yes. You are a wonderful guest. We will probably have you on for your own chart reading just because. Cassie, you got anything for the people?
I don't. Stay safe and blessed out there. Light it up. Do your thing.
That's all it is. As always, y'all, it's all love. And what, Cassie?